So let's talk about Bill Gates. His story is, well, it's really a story of two completely different lives lived by the same person, right? You've got the first life that basically built the digital world we're all living in right now. And then there's the second one, which is all about trying to fix the real world's biggest problems.
And that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does one guy manage to launch a revolution, become one of the wealthiest people in history, and then just decide to try and give it all away? It's a huge question. So, yeah, let's dive in. All right, so every story has a beginning, a spark, right? For Bill Gates, that spark wasn't some abstract idea. Nope, it was actual code. And it was written by this super brilliant, super competitive kid out of Seattle.
And when I say early, I mean early. He wrote his first software program when he was just 13 years old. Think about that. Then, just a few years later, in '75, he and his buddy Paul Allen make this massive bet. They drop out of college to start a little company they decided to call Microsoft.
And you see this magazine cover, this right here, this was it. This was the moment when Gates and Allen saw this, something just clicked. They realized the future wasn't about the box, the computer itself. It was all about the software inside. And that idea, that was the giant leap of faith they took with Microsoft. And man, did that bet pay off. That one little spark, it ended up building a digital empire that basically defined a whole generation of tech. So how'd they pull it off? Well, it really boils down to one absolutely killer deal in 1981. Microsoft licensed its operating system, MS-DOS, to the giant IBM. But here's the brilliant part. Instead of just selling it to them once, Gates insisted on getting a little piece of the action, a licensing fee for every single computer sold with it. That one move put Microsoft smack dab in the middle of the PC revolution. And this really shows you the genius behind that move. See, before Bill Gates, everybody thought the power was in the hardware, right? The actual physical machines from companies like IBM. But Gates saw something different. He realized the real power, the real control, was in the software, the operating system that would run on everybody's machine. He basically changed the rules of the game and shifted the whole industry's center of gravity. Fast forward to the early 90s, and his influence is just massive. People started calling him the ultimate kingmaker of the industry. I mean, think about it. If you wanted to make a computer, if you wanted to write software, you had to go through him. You had to play by Microsoft's rules. He wasn't just a player anymore. He was literally designing the entire game board. But you know how it goes. When you're on top, everyone's coming for you. And in the mid-90s, a huge new challenger appeared: the internet. This was the first real threat to Microsoft's kingdom, and with it came a whole new level of scrutiny. But here's the thing about Gates. Instead of getting caught flat-footed, he moved with lightning speed. In 1995, he famously turned the entire company on a dime. I mean, the whole focus shifted to the internet. And because of that, Microsoft didn't just survive the internet wave, they ended up riding it to become even bigger. This is also when his public image really got locked in. To his competitors, he was this ruthless, controlling monopolist. But to his fans and supporters, he was a brilliant tactician who was just smarter and faster than everyone else. He kind of became the face of the entire computer age, the good, the bad, all of it. The incredible innovation, but also the brutal, cutthroat competition. But here's a twist. Even while all these epic battles were going on, Gates was quietly planting the seeds for something totally different, something he'd eventually call his second and final career. It all started back in 1994. The same year he married Melinda French, they started a foundation. At the time, it probably just seemed like a side project. But that small beginning, it would grow into the absolute focus of his life. And honestly, one of the most powerful charitable organizations the world has ever seen.
And his move away from Microsoft wasn't like flipping a switch. It was a long goodbye, really. A very slow, very deliberate handoff that took over a decade. He stepped down in these carefully planned stages, just methodically redirecting that intense focus of his away from software and towards, well, towards solving the planet's biggest problems.
And that brings us to today, to his third act. You know, if his first act was all about writing code for computers, this new act is about trying to write code for humanity, trying to solve our biggest bugs, things like disease, poverty, and inequality. And to really grasp the scale of this new mission, you just got to look at three numbers. That's it. Number one is his personal stake, 99%. That's how much of his own money he's pledged to give away. Just let that sink in, 99%. Okay, number two is the yearly payout, $9 billion. That's not the total. That's what the foundation aims to give away every single year. That's a budget bigger than the aid programs of a lot of countries. And the last number, the big one, $200 billion. That's the goal for how much they plan to spend between now and 2045. And then they plan to just shut it down, close up shop. The sheer ambition of it is just mind-boggling. So, where does all that money go? Well, behind those giant numbers are some deeply human goals. We're talking about ending preventable deaths for mothers and kids, wiping out infectious diseases for good, helping hundreds of millions of people escape poverty. He's taking that same logical, systems thinking approach he used at Microsoft and pointing it at the world's messiest, most complex problems. So, what's the big takeaway here? I mean, the life of Bill Gates is really a tale of two revolutions, isn't it? The first one totally changed how we all work, how we talk to each other, everything. And the second one, this giant experiment in giving, is trying to change what we as a planet even care about. He wrote the code that runs our digital lives. The big question now is, can he help write the code for a better world? And that's a chapter that's still being written.